Well, so sitting down here, I can say to you that I'm sure they're in safekeeping. Like I said, LCC does not have a direct reporter to me. So maybe what we should now do is to be sure that those cameras are kept under lock and key and that nobody have access, to them. But I'm aware, I know that those cameras are tracker cameras, and in the event of any tampering, experts will get expert. I'm not even a camera expert, so I'm sure you are not. So we will get experts, expert in this area that will see, if they are tampered, there are things that I'm sure they will be able to see, because they would have back end reported, they will have, off-site, softwares that I'm sure will be available to be seen, and when they start, these are some of the ways in which government can indeed continue to show real transparency, real transparency. And I can assure you, that at the highest level, I will ensure that nothing is left undone. To ensure that
Mr. Governor,
to make a transparent process.
Mr. Governor, when is the investigation going to start into the Lekki incident? When is it going to start? I just want to know that, and a lot of people, when is it going to start?
Ask him.
Okay, so today is Thursday. It's a panel that we can set up over the weekend, and probably because we're still in a curfew now, and believing and hoping that all of these things will be behind us in terms of movement in another 1 or 2 days. So we can indeed say that on Monday they should be able to start once we get the panel constituted over the weekend.
Mr. Governor, there is something I'd like you to clarify for us. There was a phrase in your speech, in your address to the state. You said whatever happened at the Lekki Tollgate Plaza was due to powers beyond our control. Now, what are those powers beyond your control that could be responsible for that incident at the Lekki Toll Plaza? I ask this because
very
since that statewide broadcast, there have been conspiracy theories emerging. Some people are saying, look, this is beyond NSAS. Some people are alleging ethnic motives. Some people are talking about terrorism. Since Tuesday, is there some additional intelligence that has been brought to your attention that could justify the skepticism or the conspiracy theories that we have seen? Secondly, earlier on, I said we've not been seeing the police out there on the streets or the military trying to keep us safe. But whatever happened, we didn't also see the fire service. All the fire incidents were just going on unchecked, with no fire service rushing to save DRT buses or save police stations yesterday.
Well, thank you very much, Ruben. I think I'll just take the last question first. Unfortunately, we lost about 5 fire trucks yesterday. We lost 4 fire stations that were also burned. Our first respondent fire officers were also attacked, and so they all had to run for their dear life. You saw that our first respond emergency management service, LASEMA, their building was also touched in Lekki. Their other building in Kappa, we had to send reinforcement there for them to be protected, and so they also couldn't come out, right? All of those high-moving vehicles, right? There were attempts to actually burn those vehicles yesterday, so they had to retreat back. So, like I said, we have pictures to show that our fire trucks were damaged, they were destroyed. Every attempt they made to want to come out, the various levels of protesters were met on the road, hoodlums, and they had to retreat. 1 or 2, I think about 3 fire stations too were touched, and there are evidences to this. And so they had to retreat for the safety of their own men. I was still on the phone with the head of the director of fire service. I think it was around about 4 or 5 o'clock last night, trying to be sure that, her men are safe. And so she said that they all had to scramble to safety. Very unfortunate. So that's why you didn't see them. They were all prepped up to go out, but each time they want to, they met protesters along the line, and so they had to retreat, and their vehicles were damaged. To your first question, I would be very careful and with what I say. There have been reportage, there have been communication, there have been audio communication that we've seen, that we've heard, that connotes or suggests that there's more to the answers that all of us thought. But like I said, I cannot begin to make extensive comments. I cannot begin to make comments that might also sound as insensitive. I think these are the work of the security operatives. I'm sure they are also in possession of some of these materials, visuals, audios that we've seen, and it just goes to some quarters that, well, we need to investigate some of these happenings deeper than what we see, out on the street. And like I said, it's a work of the intelligence officers, security operatives, who will be able to dimension and ascertain clearly, what they make out of this. There'll be several, contraptions. There'll be several, but at my level, I cannot begin to speculate. I cannot begin to guess, if they are not being properly verified and confirmed by the security operatives at the highest. But yes, indeed, we also saw some of those things, and they've been passed on, to them. And regarding my speech, so that we don't take my speech, out of context and just use a line, so this was a speech that I coined up myself. And so what I was trying to explain is that the hierarchy and the chains and command of the military are not within my purview. It's not something that I know. It's not something that I have responsibility for, right? And so I do not pretend that I have such powers to control or to activate the military. That's essentially what I was trying to explain in that particular phrase.
Well, we'll be watching the panel closely, and we do hope that the deliberations are made public. I think that would be necessary considering the current climate. I wanted to ask you about a theory that's also making the rounds. Do you think that there's a possibility that there's some secessionists behind the mayhem that we saw in Lagos?
It's actually becoming something that we need to review. Honestly, it's very scary. It's very scary because I ask myself that, how did we get here? Was it all just about NSAS? I mean, how would we be destroying what we all worked for? We all want to have. How would somebody be destroying brand new public buses that are meant to ameliorate your suffering? How would people be destroying our heritage, the oldest courts on our land that we've preserved, that can become a monumental museum in future? How would people be destroying the highest traditional institution of our state? I mean, so these are some of the things that were pondering through my mind. All on to end police brutality. Would that just be the reason? I think all of us need to just reflect a lot more on that and see that, are there other agendas that we do not know? Are there people having other means, and they're using these peaceful protests to come under the shadow and perpetrate other things? I think these are very scary, thoughts that I personally was having, and I begin to wonder that why would we have this level of public destruction? These are assets that